Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a Luna build for patch 7.35D, and Luna is pretty much the most popular carry right now, if not one of the most popular carries, and I think that this hero is great at low MMRs, pretty much any MMR. So first, you're going to do starting items, which is pretty straightforward, is just like the typical carry item build for agility carries, which is Quelling Blade, Slippers, Circlet, 2 Iron Branches. You can choose to go without the Quelling Blade and just get another branch if you want to, but honestly, Quelling Blade, despite the fact that it's been nerfed on range heroes, is still pretty good. That 4 damage is, you know, significant enough that it's going to help you get last hits. And then obviously you have your tangos for healing and stuff. And just the typical thing that you're going to be doing in every game is just like finishing Wraithband, getting Wand, finishing your treads. Like that's just what happens for almost every carry these days. Now, the thing I always say is you can finish your magic wand. You don't necessarily have to. It just depends on the lane and what you're going to be doing, especially with this hero, because you can use those branches for healing if you really don't feel like you're getting any wand charges, and you are going to just go in the jungle after like 6-7 minutes anyway. So this is the one item that I would say maybe don't buy it, but it's fine if you buy it every single game. That's really not that big of a deal. And then once we move on, the next and last early game item that you're going to get is Mask of Madness, and this is just must buy every single time. It just speeds up her farm so much, it allows her to sustain in the jungle because of that lifesteal, and otherwise, you know, it's going to be a lot harder to jungle. You're never really going to want to skip this item. It's just like core on the hero. It just really is the best thing, and there's really no other item that is going to be good for you. And honestly, if you're having like a bad lane, a really bad game, I would even consider sometimes not finishing some of this stuff. Like if you're, you know, 5 position is griefing you, maybe just get the power treads, or maybe don't even get that. Maybe just get brown boots. Maybe just get the glove part of the power treads, and then just go straight into the lifesteal Mask of Madness, because then you can start jungling. This is one hero that can like jungle at like minute 4, 5, 6 if, you know, they're getting griefed and it's not like the game is over. You can actually recover. So just keep that in mind if it's like in a terrible game, because we know that happens sometimes. And then you might be wondering, if you see this core items, why do I only have Manta here? And why do I not have, let's move these around. Let's sell my tangos here. Why do I not have the Dragon Lance as one of the items that is like the main core item? And that's basically because I don't think you should pretty much ever buy Dragonlance. Now, I know the pro players, like the high MMR players, are going to say, well, yeah, it's good for, and I understand that. I'm not saying that this item is bad on the hero. What I'm saying is that pretty much if you are watching this, if you're just a normal player, like a below 5k player or even a 5k player, chances are this item is not going to be very good for you. Like it's not, you're not going to get the value out of this item that you're going to need or you're going to want to actually make it good, because it's, even when you upgrade it to the Hurricane Pike, it's just not very value. And this Hurricane Pike is super situational on the hero. Like it can be good, but I would just much rather have a lot of other items. And the other big reason is that it delays your Manta style timing. And Manta is so important. It is like the most important thing on the hero, because this hero is one of the best, if not the best. And honestly, it's probably the best hero at just spawning Mantas, sending them down a wave, and clearing through a whole wave. You can even clear through 2 entire creep waves with this hero with the glaives. It's just insane. And so you want to get this as soon as possible, because then you can just farm waves and jungle at the same time, and you just increase your farm speed exponentially. It's just absolutely insane how much farm you can get when you get this Manta early. So that's why I just would rather get Manta straight away, first item I go for after the obvious Mask of Madness. So that's why I have it as the only core item. And then why, you know, don't I have something else like BKB or Satanic as the other core item? Well, that's because I put all of these in late game, because I think all of these are like your situational items that you're going to be buying pretty much like 3 or 4 of these every game, but it just depends. Because BKB, yeah, you might want to buy that a lot of games, but honestly, if you can get away with it, I would skip it. And that's obviously a judgment call. It needs to be like, you don't want to do that all the time. Like if there's a lot of lockdown, yes, buying BKB is good. But if there's only like a couple slows, not many stuns, like just one silence you need to deal with, Manta's good enough. Or maybe Manta Satanic is really all you need, and if you can just tank through stuff, that's fine. You can honestly skip BKB, because if you get this Manta, let's say Manta Butterfly Satanic timing, with just skipping BKB straight up, that's going to be absolutely insane. And like, if you add Daedalus into there, maybe you don't even need to tank up at all. Maybe you feel like you're tanky enough, you just need to right-click damage, people initiate for you. You don't need to worry about dying. You can literally just go Manta, like Butterfly Daedalus, and just now you just destroy. It's like 25 minutes in, you're farming that fast, maybe 28 minutes in, 30 minutes, and you just have so much damage, the enemy can't do anything. And then you top it off with that lifesteal, with the Satanic. You know, there's a bunch of different routes you can go here. You can even go for the Conda if you feel like you really can't man fight people. It's really hard to. Maybe you can go for the Conda. Maybe in that situation you can go for the Hurricane Pike. This is definitely an option as well. You can do all of those things. If you feel like you need to tank even more, this reduces incoming damage. Get your Ag Shard earlier. And then late game, you can just, you know, top everything off with the Ag Scepter, and even like super ultra late game, you just need to like win, defend megas, you know, whatever it is. Let's go for the Divine Rapier and just end. You can do all of those things. And so these are all the items that you're going to be buying like more often than not. And that's why I put them all here, but they're all kind of optional. They're all situational. Are you facing a lot of right click damage? Do you just need straight up raw damage? Are you going to be doing some damage, but you want to just cast your beams and stuff a lot? Do you just need the lifesteal and tank through stuff? These are all considerations for all of these items. And then lastly, we have situational items, and these situational items are just not bought nearly as often as these late game items. So Scotty, I think, is pretty good. Do you need to slow? Can you go in there? But it's like you're getting kited, because this hero is a ranged hero, but it's relatively short range. Like if you come up to this axe, you can see that's not that much range. Like that is almost Monkey King level of range. So if you're getting kited, Scotty can be a very good thing. It also helps you tank up. If you feel like damage isn't the issue on your team, you just need BKB, you need Satanic, you just need more tank ability to survive through spells and all this stuff. You can buy the Shard, you can buy Scotty. This is definitely an option on the hero. And then obviously I already talked about Dragonlance, Hurricane Pike. This is if you need to escape. You really feel like it has to be a distance thing. You can't just man fight people. Then you're going to go for like the Conda. You can get Hurricane Pike. This is definitely an option. And then ultra late game, yes, you can get Refresher. It's certainly a thing. In fact, I think that this could potentially even be in the late game items, like along with Divine Rapier, because once you get an Ags, yeah, Refresher is going to be great. So that's definitely a thing you can buy. Then Disperser, if there's a ton of slows, this can be very effective on you. Silver Edge, if you need the break. Some games you're just going to need the break. You know, MKB, if you're against a Wind Ranger or a PA, you might want to buy this instead of a Daedalus. And then if you need to use Nullifier, because like everybody has a million Ghost Scepters and a million Yules and all that kind of stuff, Glimmer Capes, that can be very annoying. Obviously, you don't necessarily need this for Ghost Scepters as much, because you do have magic damage built in and stuff, but still, you wouldn't want to use that maybe. Maybe there's a Spirit Breaker in the game, a Doom in the game. This is not bought nearly as much, but it's just on there because you can buy it. It is like a right-click damage ability, or item, but yeah, you don't buy it too much. I have seen people go SNY because SNY is kind of coming up in the meta, but I think you just need Manta so badly, I would just almost never buy this. You can buy Swift Blink as like a super late game item. You know, if you just have an extra slot, you didn't buy the Butterfly, you don't really want to go back for it, you can just get this more, you know, agility-based positioning item, then Moon Shard to top things off, Boots of Travel to top things off, but I'd almost rather go for some of these other items rather than these. Obviously, this is giga late game with Moon Shard and with Refresher Orb. So that is the item build, and like I said, it's just a lot of considering which ones you're going to go here. So it's not super complicated, but you can make some wrong decisions sometimes, and then you feel underwhelming because you need to have that farm go towards really effective items in the game based on matchups. So that's the item build, and then the skill build can be pretty straightforward, but there's a few considerations to make. First, I would honestly level either Lucent Beam or Lunar Blessing. Blessing's pretty good because it just secures last hits. It's pretty good for even like First Blood because you just give people more damage and stuff like that. But you can go Lucent Beam because that also gives you a mini stun. You can maybe secure range creeps with this, although the damage is pretty low. And then once you level these two, because you're going to level these two pretty much every time first, you're probably going to go back for Lunar Blessing again, and then after level 3 is really when you consider what you're going to do. Are you spamming out more spells? You can totally go for another Lucent Beam level, but that is really risky because you really want to start going into either more Moonglaves or Lunar Blessing damage, because really this Moonglaves and Lunar Blessing is going to be what you're going to use to farm and transition to the jungle, because after, you know, you get to level 6, 7, 8, whatever, minute 5, 6, 7, 8, you are going to want to push the wave out and then farm the jungle. And so honestly, a lot of other guides say to max Blessing out, and that is good. You can totally do that. Don't get me wrong. Leave 1 point in Lucent Beam, max out Lunar Blessing, but the problem with that is very lane focused. And for the most part, in pubs, when your support's not going to be good, you can't rely on them, I would just start leveling Moonglaves and pretty much maxing it out, you know, putting 3 points into it and then 1 point in alt, and then maxing that out first before I max out Lunar Blessing, just so that you can reliably go to the jungle and get that Mask of Madness and just farm. You don't have to rely on your team, rely on any mid rotations, rely on your 5 position. You can just be completely independent, and it's not that big of a deal. And you still have decent damage anyway with the Lunar Blessing overall. And then, honestly, I would get the Eclipse at level 6, where you see some guides say just skip it entirely, because if you only have 1 point Lucent Beam, what does this really do? What I will say is this can do some damage. It can contribute to maybe a defense or a fight. The other thing it straight up does is it just scares people away. Like, even though level 1 with Lucent Beam and level 1 with Eclipse, it doesn't do anything. Like, it's actually just, people can just straight up tank it and kill you anyway. At most MMRs, for the most part, people aren't going to be checking the damage. You just press this, people say, oh, it's an Eclipse, I should run away. And so it's actually like almost the mini Medusa ult, in the sense that they can get you out of jail free. It can kind of save you, because people like don't want to just run into the ult, and they feel like it's going to do damage, even though it's not going to do any damage early on. So that's kind of why I say to get this value point in it, because it's really not going to speed your farm up that much more to just skip it. So anyway, that's why I would say max this out first, get 1 point in this, then max out your Lunar Blessing, and then obviously you max out the Lucent Beam, and you get your ult when you can from there. So that's the skill build I would recommend. You can mix it up a little bit, and obviously then you can change things up if you get more points on Lucent Beam, because you're absolutely dominating the lane. But regardless, you're always going to be wanting to jungle, farming stacks and farming ancients, all that kind of stuff as soon as possible. Then with the talents here, you're going to go pretty much all right side talents. Moonglave's reduction is just really good, speeds up your farm even more, and it's just another thing that allows these Manta style illusions to just clear through waves and waves and waves, and it's just going to be so good. And then Lucent Beam cooldown is just good overall. Eclipse cooldown is not great. I mean, this is more of like that support magic damage build, or whatever, like mid Luna build. It's kind of a meme recently. And same thing with this over here, the Lucent Beam mini stun. That's almost the same kind of build, like you're going Ags first item or something. And then Moonglave's fired on Lucent Beam is good, just because that gets a little bit of extra damage in the late game when you're spamming the Lucent Beams, which is pretty good. This Lucent Beam damage can also be good, but again, that's, if you can see that kind of trend, this left side is all about that ult, all about the Lucent Beam. This one's more about your right-click damage. And then lastly, this 20 Lunar Blessing damage is going to be good overall. It's pretty much what you're going to go every game when you're going this right-click carry build style. And then over on the left side, you can see, again, that is more of the Ags build. And so that's why late game, if you get the Ags, you can put points into that, because that's going to just amp up your damage and amp up your late game scaling as well. And so that is the carry build for Luna in patch 7.35D. As always, guys, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.